Hi everybody, I'm Marcus Lemonis, and I'm going to spend a minute with you talking to you about the do's and don'ts of financing and insuring your vehicle. I want to give you an inside look on what you need and what you don't need, and the things that you should be aware of before you go into the finance office.
A lot of our customers get a little overwhelmed when they head into the F&I office. What are some of the options that we have, and what should they be looking for during this process?
Well, before we jump into what options are available at RV dealers for consumers, I want to take a step back for just a second. And I want to make sure that the customer understands how to go into the process and how to not feel like they're being forced or boxed into buying something that they don't need. Number one, they really need to make some notes, even if they're mental notes before they get in there, of how they are going to use the unit. Are they going to travel across the country? Are they going to travel short distances? What are the activities that they're going to be doing? I think when it comes to the start of the process, having the unit financed itself, actually, instead of using your own cash, is the first big question that I always ask people. What could you do with your own money? How could you invest it and get a return on it, as opposed to owning the unit yourself? And what's interesting about the RV industry is the financing options are very different than the car business. You can finance, for 180 months, 240 months, 120 months. So it's significantly longer than the auto business. So if you're financing a $10,000 unit, $10,000, $20,000 unit, at $10,000, you should always be putting enough money down to pay for your taxes. And you should be putting a little bit of money down to ensure that you have some equity right out of the gates. Much like a car, when you buy a new RV, it's not worth exactly the same tomorrow as it was the day you bought it. It's a depreciating asset. So I don't want to see people ever do zero down if they can avoid it. I want to see them at least pay their taxes. In terms of financing the unit, I recommend, and I do it myself, to use other people's money, as long as the interest rate that you're being charged is something that you feel comfortable with. You don't want to be paying, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13%. It's not a credit card. You want to make sure that you're getting competitive financing, particularly in an environment where rates are going up. Once you finance that unit, even if you finance it for 10, 15, or 20 years, you're locking in that rate, no matter where you buy it. Number two, people say, well, what are the kinds of things that I should be buying with my unit? And for me, coming out of the car business years ago, I want to make sure that people are only buying things that they need. So if you travel the country a lot and you cross state lines, I would recommend at a minimum having roadside assistance. Regardless of who you buy it from or what the brand is, I recommend you having roadside assistance, because as you travel across state lines and you break down, AAA only takes care of you inside of the area. When you start to travel across states, multiple states, 1 state, 2 state, 3 states, you need an RV specific roadside assistance. You need that. And that's typically not that expensive of a product, and you would want to finance that in your payment. The second thing that I always ask people is, do you have health insurance?
Yes.
And it's a big topic in our country, health insurance. You want to consider getting health insurance for your unit. And you want to buy the kind of insurance that you believe matches up to the way you use your unit.
Makes sense.
You really want to think about it, right? So a warranty is a good thing to consider. You can also finance that inside your unit. The one product that I've fallen in love with is Travel Assist. And Travel Assist essentially helps you feel protected when you're out on the road if something happens. It's not just about your unit, it's about you and your unit and getting it back there. So what I always advocate in the finance office is really having a personal relationship, which is why it's behind closed doors. It's not to trick you or trap you or to hold you hostage. It's to make sure that the conversation that the finance manager and you are having, one, it's confidential. Your financial information should be secured and in a controlled environment, which is why there's a lock on the door. You should always look for that when you go to the dealership to make sure that things are locked. You should be sure that the credit information they're pulling is not being shared with other people, that it's private, and that any question about your credit or any question about any issue that may have happened is done behind the door. That I don't have to have one customer or another customer or somebody else hear my business? What if it's my neighbor or my kids? Like, I don't necessarily want that. The finance manager's job is to coach you through the process and to match your credit profile with the right bank that's going to give you the best rate.
Okay.
And to make sure that the products that you're buying protect you, protect your family, protect the unit, and anything that doesn't do those things, there's no need to buy them.
No need.
There's no need to buy anything that you don't believe is going to protect you, your family, or your coach.
Okay.
And it's really that simple. A lot of times I get frustrated when customers don't understand what they bought.
Sure.
So really ask, what am I buying? What am I getting for it? And make sure that you're given all of the brochures and all of the information that you need to understand how to make that work.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean by that? So
that
I don't
makes
want you
sense.
just buying something and then
Just to
not
buy
knowing
it.
you have it.
Right, what's the point of that?
And if, it's not that big a deal, it's in my payment. It's your money, and
know
whether
how
it's
you're
$1
spending it.
a month or $5 a month or $50 a month, I want you to know where your money's being spent, what it's being spent on, and what value it's providing you. And if it doesn't provide you value, I don't want you to buy it.
You don't need it.
Hi.
Hello.
We're gonna have a little fun. So you wanna talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I can certainly do that. When we do the financing, we meet with customers, hopefully before they come in, because a lot of times when they're coming in here, they're not sure who they're meeting. So just meeting them outside.
Scary, is it scary for them?
Because they're not sure what to expect in here. This is where they normally give over their money. So
Right.
it's kind of a scary thing for them. So if we can meet them before they actually come in, we'll go out and say hello, ask them how their transaction went with their coach, how the demo went, and then we'll give them a little bit of an explanation of what's going to go on. We're going to go over all of their paperwork and answer any questions that they might have. Now, for some people that might be a half an hour, for some people that might be 5 hours. It just depends on how many questions they have.
Let me ask you a question. Our job is to be customer advocates, whether they buy from us or not. What are things that customers should be wary of or cautious of or have their radar up when they are going into the finance office, whether it's here or somewhere else? What are things that, if you were almost becoming a customer advocate, what would you tell them to watch out for?
I would make sure if you are putting any money down, I wouldn't be doing any cash down. I would be doing a cashier's check. I would be doing a money on a credit card. I would be doing something of that nature. I wouldn't be doing actual green cash.
Why is that?
Because green cash has a way of not being recorded or being taken. Or let's say, I've heard of this happening before where you give me $5,000 in cash, but then on your bill of sale where it shows how much money you put down, maybe it only shows $3,000, and you don't notice that until 2 weeks later. You're looking at your bill from the lender and you're like, why is this more?
So never actual hard cash.
I would not.
But if you have to, just reconcile it on your paperwork, get a receipt for it, validate it all.
Yes, make sure if you gave $5,000 cash, that on your bill of sale, which is your final document, that it does show $5,000 cash, and that you actually get a receipt, like from, that's printed out and not
Something that feels legitimate.
Yes, no, something that's not written out like here's your receipt.
What are other red flags that a consumer should be looking for or be aware of?
Well, I always tell people to make sure they check with their insurance company and make sure they have the right level of coverage, because we find a lot of agents, they will do cars and houses. They don't always do campers. We hear the horror stories about people where their camper got totaled and they thought they had full coverage insurance, but then they find out they had full coverage insurance, but not for this. And now they owe thousands of dollars.
Right.
So I always tell people, we have Good Sam, which does give insurance quotes.
And there's a lot of other agencies out there too.
A lot. So
Yep.
you can quote 10 different places, but we always tell people not only to look at the price, but look at what it covers.
The one thing that I want to make sure you understand about insurance is that it's a regulated industry, and so people can't negotiate insurance. And so the best way to find out if you're saving money is to take a few minutes and do multiple checks. Part of the reason we have an insurance agency is we're able to have 5, 6, 7 carriers inside of it, making sure that you're getting the best deal, because it really matches up to who you are, what your income is, what your education is, where you live, do you own your home, do you not own your home. There's a certain profile that these insurance companies write, and the same facts that you bring to the table may have a different value for every different insurance company. So this idea that you're going to stay with your friendly agent is fine, as long as you're okay recognizing that you may not be getting the best deal. So when you're going out and you're checking insurance, you want to make sure that you're binding with reputable carriers, and whether that's Progressive or Nationwide or whoever it may be, you want to know that it's somebody that's right, and you want to understand that it is a regulated industry. You can't call your insurance agent and say, hey, can I get a better deal? If the prices start to move around, what's happening is they're moving around the deductibles, or they're moving around the coverage. They're not necessarily giving you a better deal. Any other red flags or horror stories that you've heard of or seen, people buying products they don't need?
Well, I do have people that have had experience before, whether they bought a car or another camper, and so they come in and they'll be like, I had a bad experience with a warranty. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And I always look at it, if you went to a doctor or dentist and had a bad experience, you would see a different doctor or dentist. So I always tell people, be open to what is important to you. If you don't see a value in something, then by all means you shouldn't
Don't buy it.
But we like to go over all your options, because some people come in and be like, my neighbor Bob told me not to do any of this. Well, why? Let's look at your options.
And maybe Bob was right for him.
Right. And then decide. But we like to tell you A and B, here's your different options. If you want to do a longer term, a shorter term. Would you like to have an extended service program for just the year that the manufacturer gives you, or would you like to extend it out? So I always tell people you need to be open to what the information is, and that way process it and decide, is it a value for you and your family?
When you're going into the finance office, I want you to, regardless of what dealer it is, I want you to not move forward in the transaction if they're not using a menu, which means that they're not showing you all your options, and they're not disclosing every single item that's inside of whatever package that may be. Regardless of where you go to buy your unit, or if you go to a credit union, or you do it with a private party, or you do it at a dealership, I want to make sure that you slow down and that you truly understand, what package am I buying, what products do that come with, and how much is it independently, but more importantly, how much is it in my payment? Because oftentimes, for a very small amount of monthly payment, you're able to get the kind of coverage that really protects your asset. But if you walk into a finance office and you're not feeling like they're having full disclosure, a little bit of a tie over the paperwork, or you're not seeing all the forms that you're signing, and you're not getting copies of everything, and it just feels a little too good to be true, then it probably is. So, biggest tips when you go into a finance office: go in prepared, knowing what you can afford and not afford. Try to always put some money down, particularly on the tax side. Make sure you're only buying a unit that you know you can afford on a monthly basis, and there's flexibility in the term. And don't buy products that don't necessarily protect you, your family, or your unit. And lastly, if you're not getting full disclosure of how these products work, what they are, what the totals are, and each one individually, I don't want you to move forward. I want you to remove yourself from the situation until somebody presents you with something that is clear, it's concise, and it is what is good for you and not for them.